So tonight's question is, where did foreign language come from? Genesis chapter 11. This is where folks got big heads and built big towers, but God had a bigger plan. What we've got here is not just a history lesson, but a warning about pride, a lesson in God's sovereignty, and a launching pad for the rest of the Bible story. In verses 1 and 2, you got one language and one people. At one time, all the people of the world spoke the same language and used the same words. Back in the day, there wasn't no Spanish, English, or Swahili, just one language, and folks were sticking together. But that togetherness, it wasn't to glorify God. As the people migrated to the east, they found a plain in the land of Babylonia and settled there. They settled, and that's the problem. Because God told them back in Genesis chapter 9, verse 1, to spread out and to fill the earth. Instead, they said, nah, we're good right here. And that's disobedience dressed up like convenience. In verses 3 and 4, they say, let's build a tower to heaven. And they say, come, let's build a great city for ourselves with a tower that reaches into the sky. This will make us famous and keep us from being scattered all over the world. We may get 10,000 followers. And there it is, the heart of sin. Let's build for ourselves. Let's make ourselves famous. Let's protect our own future. That tower wasn't just architecture, it was rebellion. Mankind tried to climb to heaven their way without God. Sound familiar? That's the same lie the serpent told Eve. You'll be like God. And then in verse 5, God comes down. And it says, but the Lord came down to look at that city and the tower the people were building. Now, let's laugh a little. They were trying to build a tower to heaven, and God still had to come down just to see it. No matter how high man climbs, God is always higher. In verses 6 and 7, the confusion hits. Look, he said, the people are united and they all speak the same language. Come, let's go down and confuse the people with different languages. God knew if sin went unchecked, folks would run wild. So he broke the rebellion by breaking the language. This wasn't cruel. It was graceful judgment. God stopped them from destroying themselves with pride. In verses 8 and 9, you see that they're scattered by God. And this is where the city was called Babel, because that is where the Lord confused the people with different languages. Babel. Now, it sounds like Babel, but B-A-B-B-L-E, right? And it's fitting. So God scattered them just like he said back in chapter 9, whether they wanted to or not. You can fight God's will, but you're not going to win. In verses 10 through 26, you see the family line of Shem. And this part walks us through the family tree from Shem to Abram, who's soon to be Abraham. Now listen, it might just seem like another genealogy, but this is God preserving the promise. Through the line of Shem comes Abram, and through Abram will come Jesus Christ. God ain't lost in the chaos. He's still writing the plan of salvation. In verses 27 through 32, Abraham enters, and this is the account of Terah's family. Terah was the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Abram's story starts right here in a place called Ur of the Chaldeans. This family wasn't righteous. They were idol worshippers. But God chose Abram anyway. Grace always picks the unlikely. So what's Genesis 11 really telling us? First, pride leads to destruction, even if it looks impressive. God ain't impressed with man's achievements, and when folks disobey, God still gets his way. Even in judgment, he's working redemption. And most of all, God is faithful to keep his promise. He's leading us to Abram, and from Abram to Jesus. You can build all the towers you want, but if you ain't walking in obedience, they're coming down. God ain't looking for folks who want to be famous. He's looking for folks who walk by faith. So don't chase Babel dreams. Trust God's plan. And keep reading your Bible so you won't be dumb.